and welcome to the Editing and Writing Workshop. This is the last workshop in our writing process workshops that we offer at the Writing, Reading, and Speech Assistance area of the Learning Commons. So for the editing workshop, we are going to concentrate on proofreading your paper using the SWOPS acronym. The first letter in SWOPS stands for sentence structure. This is where you deal with any sentence level issues, like fixing your run-ons or sentence fragments. The W in SWOPS stands for word usage. This is where you will check to make sure you have used the correct diction or word choice in your paper. For this specific workshop, we will be focusing on the A, or agreement errors, in your sentences. So I'll talk more about that later on. The P stands for punctuation. This, of course, would be where you fix any punctuation errors that you have. And the last S in our SWOPS acronym stands for spelling and also capitalization, where you would fix any of those errors. For this specific workshop, our goals are to make sure that we can fix any modifier issues. I also provide different exercises to help you practice these techniques. There are 3 different types of modifiers, and we will start with misplaced modifiers. Misplaced modifiers are essentially words or phrases that describe a word placed incorrectly in the sentence. So essentially they're modifying something, but it's in the wrong place. So in the example, I sat on the green bench, tired from walking all day. We first want to identify what our main sentence is. Well, essentially our main sentence has to have a subject and a verb. So I sat. On the green bench is a prepositional phrase. It describes the location. Where did I sit? I sat on the green bench. Then tired from walking all day, that's just extra stuff. It's extra information I'm giving about this activity. Now, it is placed at the end of this sentence. So, modifying phrases should be as close to the thing it's modifying as possible. Well, right now, it's as close to the thing bench. So that gives us the illusion that the bench is the thing that's tired from walking all day. So in this illustration, you could see that our green bench is really, really tired. It wants to take a nap. Someone had asked me, can you change the sentence to read, I sat tired from walking all day on the green bench? Well, in that case, we have the same issue. We'd be walking all day on the green bench. Can you imagine what that graphic would look like? I'd have to insert a picture of myself walking on top of this green bench. So how can we fix these modifier issues? Well, as I had mentioned, you want to move the modifying phrase as close to the thing it's modifying. Ask yourself, who is tired from walking all day? Is it the bench? No, it's me. So tired from walking all day, I sat on the green bench. Notice the comma I used to separate the 2 thoughts. Another modifying issue that we have are dangling modifiers. These modify a word that's not clearly stated in the sentence. In my example, determined to get a better look, the viewing platform was crowded. Well, I look at the modifying phrase, determined to get a better look. I ask myself, who was determined to get a better look? And it's as close to viewing platform. So that means that this viewing platform right here really wants to take a look at something. That's not what we're intending it to mean. We really mean that people were crowding the viewing platform, but that word people, or any noun for that matter, of who was determined to get a better look, is not stated in the sentence. So how can we revise that? Well, there are 2 options you have. You can either name the doer of that action in the subject. So the who was determined to get a better look. People crowded the viewing platform. Or you can name the doer of the action in that modifying phrase, just changing the words around a little bit. So since people were determined to get a better look, the viewing platform was crowded. In both circumstances, as long as I have identified who was determined to get a better look, I have fixed my modifying issue. The last type of modifying issue we have are what are called squinting modifiers. These are normally small little words, often adverbs, that are used, but it's really unclear what that word is modifying because there's more than one option. So take a look at the example I have. She almost does homework every day. Well, the word almost is as close to the verb do. So that means that she's almost doing. So let's take a look at this picture. Well, it's the night before the paper I've known about for 2 months is due. I guess I should write it now or something. Maybe. So she's not quite doing her homework. She's almost doing it. She's at least thinking about it. Can you almost do your homework like this picture every single day? Well, certainly not if you want to get a good grade in your class. Or is she doing almost homework? She does almost homework every day. It's not quite homework. It's something in between. That doesn't really make sense either. What about she does homework almost every day? Not quite 7 days. Maybe she does it 5 days and takes the weekends off. That makes better sense. So in order to revise those squinting modifiers, imagine that one word before or after each other word in the sentence and determine if it makes sense in that spot. Here's an example that will really depend on the meaning behind what you're saying. What are you trying to get across? Helen only stayed with us 2 weeks. Only stayed? It's not a big deal that she stayed. Or only Helen stayed with us 2 days. It was only Helen. It wasn't anyone else. Helen stayed only with us 2 days, meaning she stayed with only us, not anyone else. Helen stayed with only us 2 days gives that same impression. We were the only people that Helen stayed with. Or Helen stayed with us only 2 days. It wasn't very long. It was only 2 days. Really depends on the meaning that you're trying to get across. But notice how every single place that I put that word changed the meaning. Let's do some practice of these modifying phrases. In the first example, we're actually taking a look at one of those squinting modifiers. I screamed when the phone nearly rang. Can a phone nearly ring? No, it either rings or it doesn't ring, right? So we have to move that adverb nearly to the thing that we're actually meaning. I nearly screamed when the phone rang. I didn't quite scream, it wasn't that much, but I nearly screamed. In the next example, we have a misplaced modifier. Remember, misplaced modifiers are there, and the person that they're modifying is there in the sentence, but it's in the wrong spot. So if I said, when breaded, I like zucchini. My actual sentence is, I like zucchini, and when breaded is just extra information. So when I say when breaded, I'm asking myself, well, who is breaded? Where it's right now in the sentence means that I'm the person who's breaded. I, of course, don't mean that. So I would want to move that modifying phrase and say, I like zucchini when breaded. And now the zucchini is breaded, not me. The next example is a dangling modifier. So the actual thing it's modifying isn't stated clearly in the sentence. After playing video games all night, my paper didn't get finished. Did the paper play video games all night? Certainly not. We have to add the person. There's 2 different ways we can do that. I can say, after I played video games all night, my paper didn't get finished. Or I can say, after playing video games all night, I didn't get my paper finished, or I didn't finish my paper. In the next example, We're actually taking a look at a misplaced modifier. I read the murderer had been captured in the newspaper. Did a murderer get captured in a newspaper? No, that doesn't make sense. So we have to move this prepositional phrase in the newspaper, which is just giving us extra information. It's giving us the location of what? The location of where I read it. We'd have to say, in the newspaper, I read the murderer had been captured. Where did I read it? The next example is a squinting modifier. She only left home with a backpack. She only left home, like it's not a big deal she left home. It actually sounds like that might be a big deal. She left home with only a backpack. She didn't have many items with her. Arriving home exhausted, a nap was my main priority. Here again, we have a dangling modifier because it's not clear who arrived home exhausted. It certainly wasn't the nap itself. I can say, when I arrived home exhausted, a nap was my main priority. Or I can say, arriving home exhausted, I made a nap my main priority. So now that we've taken a look at modifiers, let's take a look at some resources you have available to you. Now, these are just some of several resources that you have. And they all include information to give you further practice on those areas of swaps in agreement that we concentrated on for editing. Thank you very much.